And I'm going to call are you recording? Got it, sorry. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today is Friday, March 6th, and the time is 12:07 p.m. Central Time. A quorum is present. All board members are present. And the meeting has been duly called and notice of the meeting was posted as required by law. And has anyone from the public arrived to speak? No. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. And then, like we did with the previous, we'll go right into the two executive report.
Great. Hello again. So here's we're going to go through all three of our Texas districts, starting with TCPA, then we'll move into PHS and then finish it out with Texas Works. So we're looking here at our TCPA numbers. You can see we had an enrollment of 16,601. EcoDis was 37.3%. At risk is 30.1%. Emergent bilingual 13.4%, and special ed is 10.8%. The district was rated a B. They are rated under standard ratings like every other public school in the state of Texas. Here we are looking at TCP as a whole versus each of our brands. Again, yellow is at least approaches, blue is at least meets, and green is at least masters. And the dotted lines that cut across all of them are the state averages. So this is all grades, all subjects. So if the kids took a test, they're on this report. You can see that TCPA, Founders, and Quest all outperformed the state at every level on all content. We're going to look at a few charts of reading now. This is just 3 through 8 reading versus the state. Again, TCPA with each branch representative. And again, TCPA, Founders, and Quest outperformed or equaled the state at each time. Now this is all reading. So we've dropped the EOCs, the high school English 1, English 2 in there also. Very similar chart. Again, the gray is the state average at each grade level. The blue is TCP as a whole, and we're looking at reading at the at least meets level. And then again, the state EcoDis students percentage is in the green line and TCPA is the orange line. So with the exception of 4th grade, our EcoDis students outperformed the state EcoDis. So we're serving students very well in that regards. And at every grade level, all of our students did outperform the state as well. Now we're going to look at some math charts. Very similar, just looking at math content. So this is TCPA with each brand and the state averages on the dotted lines. 3 through 8 math, so just looking at our elementary and middle school students. And again, TCPA, Founders, and Quest very nearly outperformed the state at every level.
Can I just ask a couple of questions?
Yes.
I probably should have asked this in the previous meeting discussion as well. So where are we in the state with respect to the meets and how we're doing as opposed to what happened as a result of COVID, where we saw a decline in all of these measures and metrics? Are we seeing back to normal?
Yes. Yes, everything is improved. There's a chart coming up in a few slides that will compare last year to the previous year to look at the growth over the last 2 years, but there's nothing that goes back all the way to COVID as far as the academics concerned.
So there was a dip for the state of Texas. Yes. There was a dip with every school district, which I think what you're asking, and that it's swinging back up, but we're still behind where we were before COVID.
Yeah, so just not completely catching up yet to where we should be.
Right.
But making progress and
yes,
is that okay?
I think reading has caught up. Math is still lagging as a state as well as school districts.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. So this is what we were just talking about. Math looks slow kind of across the state and with our campuses also compared to the reading scores. But again, yep. And now we're looking at science at TCPA and each brand. Social studies. And I combine them, science and social studies, looking at each tested grade level. Again, with our EcoDis lines, comparing our students versus the state students. So this is the one that I was just referencing. This has got a lot of information on it. So let me try to break it down. Each little square is a different content. So reading, math, science, and social studies. You'll see 2 yellow bars, 2 green bars, and 2 blue bars in each quadrant. That is approaches, meets, and masters, TCPA and state. So you'll see there's a TCPA line, a state line, TCPA state. 24 and 25 columns are the percentage of students passing. So this is looking at least approaches. And then the percent change year to year. So as you can see, we like the green numbers. TCPA has made more growth than the state at every performance level in all contents. So we're not back all the way yet, but we're making faster progress than the state over the last couple of years.
I think you'll see, you noticed Ignite was below the state average. Ignite is a 100% Title I brand. It has campuses that are Title I campuses. But you also noticed, you should have noticed, I know we're going through this quickly, but you should have noticed when Josh has slides that show the EcoDisc for the state compared to us, which most of our kids are in the Ignite brand that are EcoDisc as a state. So when you were seeing that average for the state, that's not EcoDisc. When you just saw the bars, that's the statewide average. So just across the board, our team, our educators out there have done phenomenal work this past year. Each and every brand as well. Okay. And you should have all this in your Dropbox, your Drive to look at more extensively.
This chart is looking at our 4-year graduation cohort, so students that are graduating on time, all the way back to 2017 through this last year. The blue bars are all students, and then each of our subpopulations are represented by those lines. You can see that even our subpops are graduating at a high percentage, and as a whole, we just continue that high graduation rate for our 4-year students. Again, the solid lines are TCPA, the dotted lines are the state averages. You'll see that the blue and the green, the attendance and the dropout, are right in line with the state, if not exceeding. We did have a drop in CCMR, but that is in large part due to a group of sunsetting IBC. So the industry-based certifications that our students, a lot of our students get, there was a whole chunk that have gone away. And so our team has already put things in place to improve that for the moving forward, but we did lose some of that numbers due to those sunsetting IBCs. We're going to spend a little bit of time comparing TCPA to other charter schools, that are similar in design and in nature. And as you can see by this, we're looking at all subjects, ELAR and math. The blue is TCPA. The other colors are the other charter schools you can see there at the top. And the dotted line is the state averages. TCPA is in the top in all subjects, ELAR, and near the top, one of the top 3 in ELAR, math, and all subjects. That's at least meets or at least approaches. This one is at least meets. Again, we're at near the top 3 at each level. This is specifically just founders versus some of the closest peers that we've got with founders. See, they are well above the state and outperforming their peers. Same for founders, at least meets, or outperforming the state and their peers. Now we're what he's talking about Ignite. So now we're looking at Ignite rather than the state as a whole, looking at Ignite versus the kind of schools that Ignite is across the state. So looking at IDEA, KIP, and IL Texas, again, versus the state. You can see that Ignite is a little lower, but is outperforming and performing well in relation to their peers.
Is IL Texas, is that a new name of something?
It,
Been around probably 10 years.
yeah,
International leadership.
Yeah.
It's newer.
I
Has
just
a
don't know that if we used that in comparison before?
probably not. I asked them to include it this year.
Go on. And so now we're going to move into our premier high school campuses. We had an enrollment of 7,911.
Let's pause there. Does anybody have any questions about
Sorry, yeah.
ECPA?
No.
Go.
Thank
You can see our numbers there, 64% EcoDis, 99.5% at risk, 15.7% emergent bilingual, and 13.7 special ed. The district was rated as a B under the alternative education provisions. Again, the different shades of gray are the state averages. Yellow, green, and blue are approaches, meets, and masters for PHS. So despite Premier focusing on our dropout recovery and at-risk students, you can see that they actually outperformed the state at approaches on biology and U.S. history. So, those at-risk students, our teachers are doing a phenomenal job, and specifically biology and U.S. history right now with those students there. So here's that same chart again. Again, I'd like to highlight the biology and U.S. history. We've outperformed or meet or matched with the state in growth over the last couple of years. But also talking about math, with the exception of approaches, our meets and masters students were right in line with the state growth for our PHS students. We did struggle a little bit with English 1 and 2, but we are making strides towards that. So here's our 4-year cohort for PHS. I'd like to emphasize the green line that's floating way above everything else. That's our special ed students. So our premier high schools are doing absolutely phenomenal work to get our special ed students to graduate and get them where they need to be successful in life. I'd also like to point out the post-COVID dip that in graduation, at least, we've got back to normal, and actually we are graduating more students now than we did pre-COVID, which is wonderful. I'll say the same thing about the CCMR drop, that we have the sunsetting IBCs that we have addressed. Let's see the blue line, our attendance has actually increased over the last couple of years. So that's good for the schools and good for our students. And now I'd like to compare our PHS campuses to, again, some of their peer charter schools. Red is PHS, yellow is Texas Can, and green is Richard Milburn, with the dotted line as the state. So outperforming all of the peers with PHS at least at approaches and meets.
And like with Ignite earlier, you see with Premier, you see a similar state average. That's everybody in the state, every kid, 5.5 million kids. They do not have a breakout that shows high at-risk students. How do they do? So that's why we show you these comparisons to other school districts.
Thank you. Any questions on the Premier before we move into Texas Works? Texas Works will be brief because there's such a new campus. You can see right now this last year we had an enrollment of 446, 36.5% EcoDis, 100% at risk, 4.9% emergent bilingual, and 9% special education. They're not rated because they're an adult ed program. They're not rated under TEA like other schools.
So just on that, what's our goal for enrollment with Texas? Is that in line with it, or are we?
Yeah, so this year we're capped at 2,000, and I think we're sitting right at 1,700 enrollment. After this year, we'll be able to go a little more quickly.
Okay, yeah, this was just after we got
That's right.
So this is just after. So
That's right, because this is last. school.
This is, yeah.
And then Josh, I assume you, is this one, you would assume that the eco disc percentage for Texas Works would be higher, but that's probably because we're not looking at serving food or anything like that, so there's no need for them to actually report that data. So just keep that in mind too.
Thank you. And then just for fun, we did compare versus the state. Obviously, it's apples and oranges looking at our adults ed students versus typical high school students. But look at our biology. The biology at Texas Works is equal to the state average. At the all subjects, we did have 50% pass. That's 50% adults that hadn't passed those tests before have now passed them, working towards their high school diploma. So they're doing great work with hard to work with. I mean, I would not want to go back to school as an adult. That's good for them. And that's really all we have for Texas Works, because they are so much of the information lags by years. So that is all we have for now. Any questions on anything?
I noticed looking at the Ignite and the virtual that they had similar statistics. Do you have the economic disadvantage statistics for virtual?
We do. That slide, I don't know if they included both virtuals together. Sometimes Lauren gives us data with both, but it was probably by district. So it probably was PHS and TCPA pulled out. Is that right?
Yes.
So on the Premier side, it would be a little higher, probably 20 points higher than the Texas College Prep side. And here is Premier. This is showing the district as a whole. That's 64.7. Similar to what Kalish just said, you have a similar problem with Premiers. You definitely have that issue with virtual. They're not eating lunch, so they're not filling out forms. So those numbers get deflated for sure.
I see.
The Texas College Prep side, you have the district around 30, almost 40%. Virtual's closer to 50%. The virtual underneath this district on the eco disc side. And then the challenge with virtual is you don't have kids in your building every day. You're depending on, you can't require parents to be involved, but obviously you have to have a parent at home, especially younger kids. And so you always have an issue with engagement. And virtuals have this, challenge all over the country.
Yeah, I could see the Ignite statistics were similar to virtual, and I was trying to determine why. Is it the engagement? Is it the economically disadvantaged?
Good questions. It's definitely engagement, the lack of engagement.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Anyway, like I said earlier, we have phenomenal staff, educators out there that are just doing amazing work with kids. And you can see that with state averages. You can also see that with our comparison schools with other districts and how we're doing. So good job to all of them and our leadership team here directing that part of what we do. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
So we're going to jump into consent items 1 through 11. Any changes to that? Okay. Do I hear a motion or any questions from anybody about the consent items? So do I hear a motion to pass consent items under D of the agenda 1 through 11?
I'll make the motion, Ben, to approve consent agenda items 1 through 11.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That motion to approve consent items 1 through 11, D of the agenda passes unanimously. All right, so now we're going to go on to separate items. Consider approving the charter management agreement with School of Public Benefit Corporation. Chuck, are you presenting on that?
Yes, sir. You don't mind. All right, here's the bottom line. Here's the request. It's up on the screen there. Now you have in your Google Drive, you have a lengthy resolution, but this is what it boils down to. It's responsive ed. National requesting that this board, Responsive Ed Texas, allow the existing management services, which are under Blue Learning, to transition to a newly formed Blue Learning PBC. PBC is Public Benefit Corporation. So we are, you have a couple of charts here that show you what the structure currently is. You can see here on the far right, top right, can't really read it, but you can see that's better. Thank you, Aaron. You can see Blue Learning is a single member structure underneath Responsive Ed National. And you see that purple box below it. That was what we've been talking about for several years, is this planned EMO, which would be, we talked about a name like Blue X Management. We've decided on Blue Learning PBC. If we'll go to the next slide and zoom back out just a little, if we can. I don't know if you need to. I don't know if it's, I think it's showing everything. That's fine, Aaron. So you see, again, under the national organization, you have a single member structure where Blue Learning is currently the CMO, has been the CMO for the past 5 years, and we are going to continue those services. Responsive Ed is underneath this Blue Learning Public Benefit Corporation. Next slide. You will see how this relates to Responsive Ed Texas as well as Heritage. You can see in pink, you can see the districts that contract with Blue Learning currently. One more slide. You'll see that we're replacing that. We're requesting this board, and in our contract, it requires that we come to you and request that any changes like this go through you. So we are asking for approval. I think I have one more, maybe two more slides. Try the next slide there. Okay, that was it. So we are asking, because the contract requires us to come to you, we're asking you to allow Responsive Ed to move the management services that are currently provided to the charters. We're not asking, we didn't ask in the Heritage meeting, that will come back in the future with Heritage. But for the Responsive Ed Texas, we're asking them to approve Responsive Ed moving those management services under a different corporate structure, which is a public benefit corporation.
So, I mean, I spoke to Chuck about this last Friday. You know, a lot of this has been in the works for several years now, I'd safe to say, right?
That's right.
I think this is maybe new with the name of it, the Public Works, Public Benefit, or the
Public Benefit Corporation.
Public Benefit Corporation. Probably a new name or a new title. But it's the process of changing how the charters, or the organization that manages the charters, as opposed to any real changes to how those charters get managed. So it's more about the structure of the organization. I don't think that there is any changes to the Texas charters and how much they have to pay.
The contract stays the same, other than the name of the company that is providing the services, and the people that are providing the services under this one corporate structure are moving over to this other corporate structure, the Public Benefit Corporation. So it'd be the same. You'll get the same services you've been getting as a charter organization, charter holder.
Chuck, this was subject to TEA approval.
Glad you say that. That is in the resolution. This has to go through TEA. So if you approve this today, then in the next 30 days, we will get all the paperwork together. We'll work with Khalees on this to make sure the paperwork's submitted to TEA, and then TEA has about 60 days to approve or say they don't approve and ask for changes. But yes, it goes through TEA for their approval. So 5 years ago, when we had it initially approved, it went through TEA as well.
And so the resolution that we had in our packet is basically we'd approve that resolution.
Yes, sir.
Approve the charter management agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Do we have the wording possibly for the motion? Or is it just can I just say to approve the seeking approval from TEA of the Texas?
How would you word it, Chris? Do we want them just to approve the resolution as presented? is the motion. You could do that if you would, if you're comfortable with the resolution itself.
Yeah, that works. I just don't have access to the Dropbox.
But you're okay with it as presented?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I took, sorry, just, are there any other questions related to this? Okay, do I hear a motion to pass as presented by Chuck for the charter management agreement with Blue Learning Public Benefit Corporation?
I'll move what you said, Ben.
Thanks. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Thanks. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion as presented passes unanimously.
So 60 days.
And so I think we're going to go into closed session now. Unless there's anything else for people to talk about. Pursuant to sections 551.074, 55 and 551.076 of the Texas Government Code, we are authorized to go into closed session. No votes will be taken until we reconvene in open session. Right? Stop recording.
Okay.
All right, we're recording. On stop recording?
Yeah. No, we're good. I said recording, okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna bring the meeting back into open session. The time is 12:55. All board members are still present. And we just coming out of closed session, we have two votes related to the items F2 on the agenda. And can I combine the two into one motion?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the both are the same. So I ask for a motion to uphold in both instances that were described in closed session, the employee grievances, that we uphold the level 3 determination that was made of these two grievances. Do I hear that motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion then.
Thank you, Ken. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion to uphold the level 3 decisions and determinations of the grievances that were presented in closed session are approved, or is approved unanimously. Are there any other questions, items to bring before the board for the Texas charters? All right, well, thank you all for your time. The meeting is adjourned.